Hey everybody, Jamie Starr here, and in tonight's video I want to cover this recent Gallup poll, which I saw a video that Tim Pool did. Let me give you guys the title of that if you're interested. It's Democrat COVID hysteria backfires as Dem voters are too scared to vote and mail-in votes are getting rejected. So he was covering how people are like sanitizing their ballots and all this other crazy stuff, because as you look here, now, the interesting thing I thought is that these numbers are basically inverted, where it's like 77% Democratic men are worried, so round that up to 80, where only 20% of Republican men are. Very similar with the women. It really is, I mean, it's complete opposites on both sides. And to sort of play devil's advocate and thought experiment with this, one of the things I find very sort of funny and telling about all of this now, I I'm going to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, say when they were asked in this poll that they answered honestly, but we see whether it's Keith Olbermann talking about how Trump and his, basically anyone who's in his 6 degrees of separation needs to be arrested. You had people hoping that he died when he had COVID and all this other stuff. And I mean, essentially wishing for the worst in all case scenarios and really viewing these people as opponents. The video I did prior where I went through an old friend's Twitter feed and it's basically, I hope Trump dies, punch Nazis and this and that. So obviously there is a segment of the radical left that wishes harm upon these people. So in my Machiavellian sort of way of thinking of things, if I was one of these Democrat men who's, in this 80% that's, avoiding small gatherings of friends and family, avoiding large crowds, always wearing a mask when I can, social distance and everything like that, and I viewed my opposition as my mortal enemy, that they are a existential threat to the country and minorities and all this other nonsense, well, I would encourage them all to go out without masks. I would encourage them to treat coronavirus like it's nothing and hope it gets them and wipes them all out. And judging by these poll numbers, well, I mean, it should. But funny enough, the places with the highest death rates, and unless this has changed, but I know it was very early on in all this, it's all the cities that are Democrat run, New York, California, or states. I mean, New York, California, Michigan, highest numbers there. They're the places with the issues with nursing homes, so on and so forth. So it's this weird sort of thing where, I mean, I guess their fear is justified, but really it seems to be government mismanagement. But why would they, again, thinking in this Machiavellian sort of way, why would they want to mandate protective measures to people that seem as though they wouldn't take them unless they were mandated? I mean, I would never put on a mask if I wasn't required to walk in and use the ATM somewhere. I would go maskless start to finish. I mean, I quit a job because they wanted me to wear a mask and essentially act like I'm sick when I'm well. So my principles are strong enough that I couldn't keep going with that charade, so I left. So if this wasn't imposed on me by the government, I wouldn't be engaging in this whole performative nonsense. So you just sort of have to wonder then why these people are so concerned with protecting people they wish harm upon. And the only answer I can sort of come to with that is that they're terrified that they're wrong and that the other side is right. Because if they force everyone to wear a mask, well, then you look just as stupid as them if it turns out to be nothing. But, I'm very much, I've said before, I think it's a whole big problem that we're basically handing over responsibility of our health and wellness to the government, which is barely capable of accomplishing much of anything. So they're the last people I want to be in control of my health and wellness. So it's just a really interesting thing to sort of speculate on. Like, why would these people who hate this other group so much, this other group that isn't afraid of something that we're oh so terrified about, why are we so obsessed with imposing protective measures to keep the people we want to harm safe? Again, speaking from a hypothetical leftist point of view, I don't know. Like I said, I think it's really they're terrified of it not being true and them destroying economies, destroying the country, looking like morons, and all this other stuff. You know, great example of this is at the debates. They put up those plexiglass things with which had all the doctors and scientists looking at them, being like, "This shit is airborne. What do you think a fucking little fucking wall barrier of plexiglass is doing for you? It's airborne. Like, it'll go right over. It'll go right around it." But what it does is it virtue signals to this group that's petrified over these things, and that's what a lot of it is. It's performative. So like I said, I think it's they're imposing this upon everyone, A, because they like imposing things upon people in the first place, but secondarily because they're, whether consciously or subconsciously, they're terrified of the idea that it's not what it's making themselves out to be. And basically, they don't want someone else to be able to say, "I told you so." We kept going like, you know, nothing happened. Look at Sweden, for example. You know, they'll say whatever they... And again, it's really funny. The place they always point to, we need their healthcare system. Oh, well, their healthcare officials and systems said, you know, no big concerts, and that's about it. Like, schools stayed open, businesses stayed open, all this other... I mean, the UN has now course corrected on this, where they're like, lockdowns are fucking slaughtering people. So now that the UN and the WHO is now anti-lockdown after the damage has already been done, you now have these coming out. And, you know, if anyone has any ideas they want to throw out there in the comments as to why people who are terrified of this are so concerned about protecting the people they wish to harm, I'm interested in hearing what you guys think. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, follow me on social media at Jamie Star, at Jamie Star Music, and share the video if you find it informative. And I also have another one I'm about to knock out once this little file down here is done downloading, which I think a lot of people will find very interesting, because I've been talked out of the idea of unity, so I'm going to speak a bit about that. And I think what I'm saying in this video sort of ties into that. So make sure you check that out. And all the other videos, had a handful up last week, hopefully another handful up this week. And take care, everyone.